For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Capital Calculus. This is the show that examines policies and developments through the intersection of politics and economics to share a fresh perspective with you every week, especially in trying to unpack the underlying strategic imperatives. I am your host, Anil Padmanabhan. India has often struggled to estimate the size of its middle class. But now, a new study conducted by PRICE, or the People's Research on the Indian Consumer Economy, estimates this number to be 432 million. Remember, this is larger than the entire population of the United States. The PRICE report does not stop there. It goes on to argue that this number will almost double to 715 million by 2030-31 and then surge to a staggering 1 billion by 2047. Given that the middle class is often the most transformative force in any society, this claim is hugely important. To understand the emerging Indian middle class phenomenon and the attendant implications, we spoke to Rajesh Shukla, MD and CEO of PRICE. Welcome, Rajesh.
Thank you, Anil.
So, Rajesh, before we dive into the data, the explosive data that you have shared, can you just take a moment and explain to us, why is it so important to track the middle class and to understand their consumer behavior?
Anil, if I will start saying that the importance of middle class is not new actually. And if we can refer what Aristotle actually mentioned in his manuscript in, you can say in the 306 BC, he has clearly mentioned three things, and that is still relevant. And if you look at what he has mentioned that the first thing is the best political community is formed by citizens of the middle class. The second observation he has made, which is very, very important, is states are likely to be well administered in which the middle class is large. And third, he has mentioned, which is equally important in context of today and particularly in the country like India, where the middle class is large, there are least likely to disagreements and conflict. So what I would like to just mention, the importance of middle class is not new, but why actually the discussion is now is important is because we are not having the clear-cut measurement, how many are there, how to define it. Still there is a lot of, you can say, but now we are having, since actually in India, like 1984, when it appeared that the middle class size is something like the 50 to 400 million people. But now we are having concrete data to measure, and size matter. So middle class is also, I would like to just mention, on the two issues, if you consider, it is important. First is economic importance. If you look economic importance, the rich, actually the earning certainly more than the middle class. But middle class size, what we are defining, is huge. So aggregate impact, taking the total income or total aggregate consumption, and India is consumption-based society, its impact is much, much larger actually. So this is another. So what they are doing, they are actually the majorly driving the market demand. Second, if driving the economy, they are also driving the employment and also you can say investment. This is economic impact. On the social impact, and looking at what Aristotle has mentioned, the best community if middle class is large, then if you see, middle class is cementing agent in the society, which linked the poor to the rich. And it is you can say in this current current scenario, you will find that middle class is not only the, you can say the, it is entirely different type of, you can say the phenomena. They are actually employer, they are employee also, they are consumer, they are producer also. So they are
Yeah, thank you, Rajesh, for setting out so succinctly the importance of the middle class, not just in economic but also in social terms. Now, if we could move, to your the biggest takeaway of your study is this middle class is poised to explode, and by 2031, you say that it will grow to 715 million, which is 65-66% higher than what it is today. Why are you so optimistic?
Well, there are three specific reason, Anil, here. And the first specific reason is it is purely based on the primary data research, whatever exploration. So background of this forecast is coming from the very much from the practical data, which is available with us 2014, 2016, and 2021. This is base. Now to actually 2030, the assumption is very, very conservative. We are not actually assuming something which is not achievable, and we have assumed only three things. One is urbanization, which is currently approximately 35-36%. We have assumed by 2030 it will be approximately 39-40%. Second is economic growth. We have assumed the conservative growth is 7.5% between now and the actual 2030. And third thing, we have taken the population, because population, if you are increasing like the 100 million, it will increase. So what we have taken is currently the population is approximately 1400 million. Now we are assuming hardly 1500 million, which is in the line of the UNDP and the major forecast. So our forecast is basing the very, very conservative parameter. So in that context, I can say we are very much hopeful.
Okay. Rajesh, actually, that's implicit in whatever you said is that the economic growth trajectory and the nature of growth will kind of encourage this middle class explosion. But I just want to take you to another aspect of your study, which talks about the rural urban divide of the middle class. Can you elaborate this for us?
Well, actually, if you see, Anil, here is the very, very important to understand what I am trying to write actually since actually last 15, 20 years. The rural-urban definition in India, which is currently existing, is not actually relevant to make something meaningful policy. Because 70-30 ratio we are hearing from our childhood. What is more required is like it is census defined what is urban, what is rural. So rural-urban divide, instead of that, I actually also like the mention to say that it is better to say rural-urban continuum. Means linkage, it is not, why I am saying there is not a single homogeneous rural, there is not single homogeneous urban. So can we divide actually the urban and rural in such a way by which we can actually link the development and the progress at different level. So in that context, what we did is if you look at the divided you can say the rural urban in the like the pocket. For example, let me give, we have defined the developed rural, which is 10% of India's population living in developed rural, which is a periphery of the urban India. And their share is equivalent to the, you can say the boom town or second tier city. But if I will go by our estimate, in the urban means second tier city, the share of rich is lower than the developed rural. So in that context, I am saying rural is not something like the laggard and something. Okay, dark rural is there. So in that context, what we have seen, actually the destitute is certainly approximately 83% in the under rural India. However, rich also there are actually you'll find approximately 20-25% in rural India. But developed rural is very much actually the better than the second tier city.
Well, that's very interesting because we have this concept called census towns, which are basically rural areas which mimic town behavior. But from what you're saying implicitly is that the consumer behavior between rural and urban India are also converging. So the point that you're making that it's a continuous and not a very discrete two
Yes.
segments, right?
Yeah. Just immediately one point I would like the take the occupation pattern. Developed rural, you are having actually the 25-30% household earning through the salary days. Because take the example of Meerut, take the example of nearby Panipat, yeah, means these locality. These are the people are earning, but they are also supported from non-agriculture activity. So in that case, there you can say stability in the income and the level of income is as much as. And second thing also I would like to just mention, if you take Delhi, as per census, there are 250 villages in the Delhi. And our result shows the richness intensity in Delhi rural is higher than Delhi urban. Means if you try to find out crorepati in Delhi rural, out of 10, you are more likely to get actually 4 5 people than in Delhi. It is hardly actually 3 or 4 people. Actually, so it is higher in the Delhi rural. So this concept of the rural urban is really important across the India to make more actionable, you can say, more actionable strategy for anything for marketing or the policymaker.
So, Rajesh, interesting. You're busting a lot of myths. This is another myth your study is busted, and I was looking at the data. Is that digital connectivity seems to have, overcome these barriers of economics and the economic status of
Yeah.
cohorts. How come?
Yeah, you see them is like that. If you look the current time, particularly you can say last 5 6 years, the way, although it is because of the initiative by the various government and policymaker using the means digital interface to various benefit, also the penetration of mobile phone, particularly smartphone, it is huge. So what it makes is that it make individuals are the consumer, Indian consumer, most informed, actually the better informed consumer. So they are completely trying to link themselves with the market, with the policymaker, with the, you can say, all the policy. So what is happening the other side of world where they can benefit, where they can get information. So information, right information reaching to the individual, which has actually the, you can say, empowered the consumer to take an informed decision. So this is one of the major change which is happened, and this is happened across the, not only the middle class, it is happened with the even poor staff, poor actually, that those who are destitute. So this is making a lot of, you can say, affirmative changes to link, to get information, to get knowledge, to get awareness, to get actually the means most of the facility services on the, you can say, just on the fingertips, and giving a lot of input by which actually consumer themselves evaluate what they require actually. So nobody is forcing. So it is empowering the digital mechanism to people. It is empowering the consumer to take better decisions.
But Rajesh, I was very struck the slice of data that you shared that even the poorest of the poor, the bottom of the pyramid, who you classify as destitutes, they have access to internet and they have access to cable, a significant percentage, which is very counterintuitive given the levels of poverty they are in.
Yeah, you see, the means like the it is very interesting actually in terms of, if you take total destitute. When I say total destitute or poor, or this is approximately, you can say, 20% part people. So you'll find 80% lives into the rural India, 20% lives into the urban India. And if you go in any Juggi Jhopadi or anywhere, these 20%, and penetration of these items like the two-wheeler, or the, you can say, cable TV, or even you can say this one, is it is actually one is driven by the these those who are living in the urban area, smaller town. This is one. Second thing is demand of the electronic item like television or the cable. They are because this require one time investment, but it help actually benefit to the entire actually the. So they were looking for all the times, actually it is not now, but what happened during last 2 3 4 years, actually the connectivity and supply of electricity has gone tremendously high in these locality. So they have immediately acquired, because if you take television, or this is just like 100 rupees every month, so it is hardly 30 rupees every day, because children and everyone, those who are staying at home, age old person, they require television, and they get actually. So I am saying this is completely redefining, and one has to understand how the bottom half pyramid of 2005 2000, you can say 94 95, and I am having data for that, how that is changed. Income might be the bottom, means like that they are not earning, but their facility and connectivity has gone tremendously high.
So Rajesh, just staying on this theme, uh, I also observed in your data that the third of the poor, they own a two-wheeler. They 55% own a color TV and 90% have a ceiling fan. You're right. It could a lot of this sampling could be from your urban pockets, but I'm curious whether rural poor or poorest of poor also fall in this category. And I mean, can you unpack this for us if this indeed this is true?
You see, means as far as the ceiling fan and the ceiling fan or the radio or transistor or television is concerned, I'm saying the sample and the sample allocation is representative to entire actually the country, including the rural, urban, or you can say poorest or poor locality, even the rural, where we are saying it is underdeveloped rural. Uh, this is a true, Anil, across the board, actually, even the underdeveloped rural. And why we are saying, earlier we are saying actually the radio was actually the one of the measurement to just see, yeah, cycle, bicycle was there. Now, because of electricity reach to every location, what actually the poor can purchase to use the electricity beyond the bulb or the anything, it is just simply the fan. So fan, you will find that even the second hand market here are there are local manufacturer, it is available varying degree actually. So it is expenditure of 1500 rupees, but get healthy life, or that healthy or more conducive environment in the family where children are buzurgs, all are there, it will. So they have purchased, this penetration is really remarkable, from at least as you have seen in the mobile phone, it is uses. Mobile phone everyone has now, 90% is like people are having actually mobile phone. The way, same way, when electricity access is across the board, people have started low based, actually the low cost product like this one, table fan, ceiling fan, even the television, these are the even mixer grinder, these are the actually the things which actually creates healthy life and standard of life of the poor even.
That is truly remarkable because what you're also establishing through your data and findings is that when you deliver basic material needs like electricity, roads, drinking water, there's a network effect that kicks in. Which is probably why you're going to see this acceleration in the growth of the middle class over the next 10 years, right?
Yeah. Actually, this is a growth in 10 years, means it is coming. What we have estimated in terms of like purchasing power, but it is automatically, because size is coming because of the you can say various other factor. What we are getting is it is outcome, but several factors. So infrastructure, connectivity, level of earning, and India is always hungry for the growth. If you ask any people, do you want to do, so you'll find even the COVID has created an environment, a person is doing 10 jobs, actually 5 jobs here or there, wherever fit actually. So in daytime they are doing something like the, you can say, small meditator. In the night they are doing actually the better in the, you can say, the in any marriage hall. Sometimes they are going actually the some other work. So I'm saying multiple job and activity. So there is no depth of in that way work in India. It is just like interest. So that is changing entire actually the game plan here.
Fascinating, because so whatever we've talked about so far, Rajesh, we connect all these dots. We and what he just said, it implies that we need to revisit our existing definitions of poverty, or at least the metrics that we measure poverty with or identify
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely, Anil. And the let me say that next research is going to be using this data. If you are talking about middle class reach, certainly we can measure the you can say poverty as well as inequality. Certainly, we need to look that expenditure based poverty or income based poverty is not sufficient to define the inequality and poverty. So I believe somewhere it is many places it now come up with the multidimensional poverty. So that need to be looked into. But still, I am having whatever the actually the multidimensional paper. Still, it need to be contextualized in Indian context. Still, I see there are issues which need to be looked into, because for example in the product and services, everything which our people are using, it should be included that and exclude some of the you can say luxury item which is not necessary to include, like occupation is not there at all. Occupation of the individual makes here is the informal economy. 90-92%, where you take the developed world, there are formal economy. So how you can actually the ignore the informality in the inequality actually. So that type of thing need to looked into. So my submission is it is much broader, and let us make practical attempt to look into. And the need to be actually the we have to do a lot of homework inside, and by which at least we can show the our poverty and inequality much more reasonable and really reflect what we are trying to say. And same time we can create also the global level poverty by which we can compare.
So, Rajesh, a quick clarification. Your data identifies the poorest of the poor as that cohort which earns an annual income less than 5 lakhs. So, are you identifying them based on income, or are you also adding all these assets in a multidimensional aspect of poverty?
Yeah, you see the means in the current exercise, certainly, Alan, it is only the income we are using, income cutoff, because the you see the purpose of this report. Purpose of this report is clearly for the corporate. Let me say that. Means mainly for the corporate. Means it is not. I'm not saying a policy can't use, but it is mean the income like 1.25 lakh per annum as a destitute. So here is the entire income distribution, entire income distribution. So this report is describing basing the income distribution, and rest indicators are just superimposed over there. For example, if I am saying destitute income is 1.25 lakh. So what is consumption? What is consumption basket? What is saving pattern? What is ownership pattern? So taking 1.25 as a one bracket. Similarly, middle class is, suppose it is a 5 to 30 lakh rupees. So let us find out all the indicator. So not used in defining the, you can say the middle class or the poor or rich, but in the profiling them, better understand how the middle class earn, spend, save, and where they are staying. So these are the things are very important in that context.
So, Rajesh, taking up from what you just concluded with on the middle class, how they save, spend, invest, I was looking at your data and it shows that they account for 56% of India's savings, 48% of the spending. Can you unpack these implications of this
Yeah,
importance of this cohort?
yeah, exactly, miss. This is that's why I have just in the first instance is saying that by the 2047, if the political and the political stability or the political environment as well as the reform is on actually during the with the desirable, so it will be approximately a billion people will the middle class. And middle class, you just see the as it is indicated currently they are having actually 31% share in the population, but over 50% in the income and 48% of spending. India is consumption based society. So if you look at, if their share is going to 65% from just double from now, then our consumption and the economy is going to, which we are targeting like the 5 trillion or 7.5 trillion. It is like the gives the miserable indicator where we will be. So how we have to actually the bring the like aspire to the middle class, what middle class we want. So I believe it is giving 20-25 years to build up our India in better actually the economic power. So this is important. And this particular report, Anil, I would like to just mention that it is not every time it is aggregate, all India, rural, urban. But here, what we have actually gone up to the 63 million plus city, what is happening? All the Indian states and union territory, rural and urban, what is actually how things have changed and what is growth rate is going to happen to drive till 2030. So presenting the information or insight at disaggregate level. So if anyone would like to understand, if I want to set up a company in the Gujarat or in the Odisha or in Bihar, what type of income we are going to get from that. So in that way, this research is much what I believe is useful for the even policy as well as business strategy to make a regional level, a local level, or you can say disaggregate level better actually the planning to make impact in long term.
Very interesting. But what a number. You're saying by 2047, India's middle class will be 1 billion. But let's
Yeah.
cut to the present, which is from your data, it says it's about 415 million.
Yeah.
So, in your view, my final question to you, your view, is it already acquired a critical mass where the middle class is now influencing and defining the way India consumes, invests, spends?
Yeah, absolutely. These are the as you means like the initially mentioned like the, if suppose 30% Indians are having actually the power half of the Indian income actually house disposable income. And let me mention that it is already the not the muscle power, it is economic power. And economic power, you can see that how they can make difference, use the resources which is lying below this like their in terms of using the resources in terms of aspirer or destitute. And more important, at certain level when income go Anil after a certain threshold, expenditure actually stop growing in that proportion, it stop not growing in that proportion. So you'll find middle class after certain threshold, saving increase or the investment in different direction. So when people are full of their aspiration, they start asking the share in the power, playing a role in the politics. So you will see the all the middle OBC agitation in the country. It is not the you can say the Bimaru state. It is happening in the major state where the actually backward and OBC are now become actually the middle class and currently global middle class. They are now asking their share in the power. So it is very good. And if I will go and saying that they started with Aristotle has mentioned, it is good for democracy, where people are when asking for their power, not for negative in general, then they are going to develop a better established inclusive society. And that is actually the major impact is going to happen in the country in the near future.
True, well said, Rajesh. And of course, it's going to be a boom which is coming the way of the consumer economy. So I'm sure FMCG companies are all looking forward to this next 10 years. Thank you for speaking to us, Rajesh.
Thank you, Anil. Thank you. It is always pleasure. Thank you.
It is then clear that India's middle class has begun to find its feet, its voice, and its influence. Even better, their numbers are projected to grow very rapidly going forward. In fact, Price projects this number at 1 billion in 2047. In short, if this does pan out, then India is in for an unprecedented transformation, politically, socially, and economically. As I always say, India's best is yet to come. Thank you for watching, but do remember to subscribe to Strat News Global on YouTube. Hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any updates. And please do share your feedback and insights with us. You can reach me on Twitter at Capital Calculus. I'll be back next week with another episode. Till then, stay safe.